Hello and welcome to Blue Girls Video Podcast. I have dreams. I'm going to be doing December 2019, but I forgot this one. Well, actually, I was interrupted, but anyway. So November 2019, red and white striped t-shirt. Something strange happened. Something always strange happens. Have you noticed that? I was lying in bed trying to get to sleep, but have been up all night. As I was lying in bed and looked at the bedroom, I started to see a young woman walking into my bedroom. I was fully awake and not in between worlds. This spooked me, and so I got out of bed to go and turn on the front room light. She had short, bushy hair and dark eyes. Maybe the young woman was an image in my mind. I don't sense a presence or ghost or anything else. They will be starting inspections in a week or so, and we'll be entering people's apartments. So I've said this before. Sometimes I've had, whatever. I felt like someone was in my apartment or whatever, I got PTSD or whatever. And so like a couple of days later, there's like inspection or something. Someone's actually kind of be coming in. But for this, how I think this was like, how you see something out of the corner of your eye. So I think that's what was going on. I don't think she was like boldly right in front of me. So anyway, so the next dream is going to be, I go to December. Spending time with mom is going to be the next one. Okay, there was a young woman who had a really nice apartment. Her mom came over to stay for a day or so. I can see her sitting on the couch. The woman wanted to spend time with her mom, but her mom couldn't bring her Rottweiler dog into her apartment. So when the young woman attended a community dinner, and came back home, her mom unexpectedly left. She was disappointed in trying to call her, and I guess her mom can be hard to get a hold of. So I kind of vaguely remember this dream. Greece. This young woman sees one of her friends who resembles my friend in real life. He looks very Greek, even though he's half Irish with his DNA. I don't know what else he is. This guy is even taller and has longer blonde hair than my friend. He somehow hurt his left hand and can barely move it. He doesn't know how to take care of his hand, and the woman was surprised that he didn't use any ice pack to reduce the swelling. His girlfriend doesn't want to help and may be leaving him. Later, he seems to be sitting in a chair in the front row of some kind of class or conference. He possibly has an ice pack for his left hand, and he is holding a newborn baby with dark hair with the other hand. Then this young woman is at a fancy restaurant where people mingle. A foreign woman who speaks several languages initiates a conversation with the woman by offering her a chocolate from her box of chocolates. The woman mentions that she speaks Spanish. The foreign woman is smiling and likes to socialize. Later, the woman asks a guy for a piece of paper so she can write her dreams down. She has small denominations in an envelope, so she takes out a 5 and a 10 and still has a couple ones in the envelope. This guy doesn't know about the envelope. This is different from a previous dream in that there are no pieces of scratch paper. It is now nighttime, and she has to wait for her bus to come, which doesn't run that often. Close to the bus shelter is a McDonald's to get a bite to eat. There are several young African-American men in the restaurant goofing around and having fun. After ordering her food, she keeps peeking outside the window to see if the bus is coming so she doesn't miss it. It almost feels like she will be traveling a long distance to get to her destination. In the dream, I can visually see the woman standing on a hill overlooking a city. The view kind of reminds me of California, but not sure. At the end of the dream, I see a photo, possibly in a magazine, but most of the buildings are white, which reminds me of Greece, even though I have never been to Greece, but recognize the photo. The photo is of Greece during the day. However, this photo doesn't have any water. Okay. Hello. So, I'm going to plug you in here. And then, strange occurrence. This is not a dream, it says. Oh, look at the thing isn't that good, the lighting. There, that's better. I had a strange occurrence happen to me while I was shopping on Black Friday. Some guy had some children, and they went elsewhere in the store. So this guy comes up by me and just mentions a name, who I assume he was just trying to make conversation and or was his daughter's name. I thought to myself, why would some stranger just tell me a name like that? And that is odd. Oddly enough, it was the same name of someone that had been thinking of as a child. You know how sometimes you will be thinking about someone and they will call in a couple days? It was kind of like that. Also, I keep thinking I don't want to go there. Okay. Vacation. Okay. The other night I was trying to get asleep. I heard someone fiddling with someone else's door, like having a hard time getting the key to work. Then last night I woke around 3:30 a.m. to just one knock on my door, and then minutes later another knock. Anyway, I had a dream that someone planned or already booked a vacation for my mom, and who is deceased, my youngest brother, and me. I think it might have been to Florida, not sure. So the next dream is security gate. A young Caucasian woman and her Mexican-Spanish mom live in a 2-bedroom apartment. The young woman is concerned regarding the stove and goes into her mom's room crying about something. It's a sad cry. The young woman must work at a retail store, and she is the one responsible for opening the store and open the security gate of the store. She opens the store repeatedly. Later, a male friend and her are at his backyard at a wooden cages that have been built for his pets. There is a variety of pets, not just cats or dogs. She greets all the pets by giving them some attention and petting them. A brown dog is close to the guy, and he isn't really friendly, so she doesn't pet him. Don't know him. I awoke and then went back asleep. I don't remember much of the dream other than not knowing some guy and telling someone that my mom is deceased, which she passed away in 2002. Technically, the 8th at 4:30 a.m. was woken by a growling sound while in bed. Took a nap. A woman is looking into a mirror in her bathroom, and her left eye is still shut. Yeah, so I've mentioned, some of my paranormal stuff or bizarre stuff or whatever. But, that the growling and hissing, I think most of that took place in the upper Midwest. So the next dream is going to be, so I said don't know him. Helper is the next dream. Last night I had a dream of a woman and her teenage daughter. The daughter had straight light brown hair and the mom darker bushy hair. They seem to be waiting in an office with a desk. Later the woman is sitting in front of an older man who is helping them. 894. Red boots. Okay, this woman is sitting perhaps in a seat on a bus. She was showing a couple of women in the back seat her Christmas present of some really nice red boots. So one of the women was questioning the cost and thought that they were perhaps $100 or $200, but they were $79.99. The other day in real life, I made comment regarding her moon boots. Other people were asking about them as well. I guess she got them from England and she thought they were popular in the 80s or 90s. She didn't know which one. I was there. It was the 80s. Oh, I remember this. So some young girl got on the bus and she had moon boots on. And I think they even said moon boots. I'm not sure. But she didn't know which era they were popular. It was the 80s. Because I was there. Anyway, so that made me feel, old. Okay, so then I put Happy Friday the 13th. I'm superstitious, by the way. Was awakened to a hissing sound. Okay, so the next dream is going to be, New York. Okay, New York. Had several dreams, but cannot remember all of them. One woman is in a busy city with all kinds of people around, possibly New York. She explains to a woman a slightly diagonal path to get to a small tourist store. Then she is at her job with several people around, and she's trying to do something really quick. Something with a couple of photos. There's a lot of extension cords around. She might be a graphic designer. Okay, so Yes, okay, so the next dream is going to be office meeting. Several professionally dressed men and women seem to be sitting at a round table for an office meeting. I can see one guy walking around in the meeting. At one point in time, the group seems to branch off, so just women are sitting around at the table. This may occur next year sometime because it seems to be warmer weather. I don't see any cost or coats at all. Okay, office meeting. This is odd, but this woman had a banded together long string grass. This is odd, but this woman had a banded together long strips of paper, kind of like the sheets of paper you can buy at a craft store. But the paper was cut into an inch of a design of grass. Okay, so the next dream is going to be meditation retreat. A couple of years ago, I applied for a meditation course in warmer weather climate. I had a friend who lived in the area, so I thought I could possibly visit him. Afterwards, classes filled up quickly, and so I had to choose to either be placed on a waiting list or apply at a different location. I tried the latter without much success. So this time I decided upon either Mexico or the Midwest area. I thought it would be cool to go to Mexico, but decided I would rather experience the country than meditate. Of course, one could do both, but I decided to apply for a session closer to home. I applied the first day. They were accepting applications, and the end was approved for a spot. Of course, I was thrilled to find out that the news that I would be able to attend the class. It made me feel hopeful that I was being productive and trying to better myself in both medical and mental health areas of my life. I'm watching one of my favorite movies to help boost my spirit. I think like Alternative Endings. Number 1. Oh, okay, Thelma and Louise. Yeah, it's a video. I can't think of the guy's name, but it's like Alternative Endings for Thelma and Louise. It's a YouTube video. So, okay, anyway, back in the saddle again. So after the novelty of the good news wore off, the reality of the situation seemed to be a mixed bag. On one hand, the experience would be beneficial, and then on the other hand, I was plagued with self-doubt. I thought that I would most likely be the oldest person in class, and my weight gain was making me feel insecure. I thought the ideal of the grueling schedule of practically meditating from dawn to dusk was a little excessive, plus the idea that one cannot leave once the class starts unless it is an emergency. So to reboot this thoughts, I just told myself that maybe I'll be all right and that maybe I was over-exaggerating a tad. I told myself that I made it through 30 days of staying at a woman's shelter, which was very chaotic, dramatic, and somewhat dangerous at times. I was waiting for an apartment to open up for me. I guess that when everything is said and done, I will approach this opportunity and a class requirement which needs to be completed in order to move to the next step of the destination or opportunity, whatever. If I fail, I feel misery and head for the hills. If I'm successful, then off the great unknown I go. Okay, so I think I ended up canceling this. I think it was in the Midwest, that because I know there was one in California before, and the reason being for this is that like I mentioned of the my concerns. So yeah, I had that on my bucket list, go to a meditation retreat, but I think I could get there and everything, but going from like dusk to dawn, meditating all day would be too much on my body. If I was in my 20s, because when most of those people are in their 20s, early to late 20s when they take that class, and I'm sure there's some older people, but my body physically couldn't handle that, I don't think, at this. And I'm not that old, I'm older, but I think it would be too much on me. And unfortunately, I wish I would have did it when I was in my 20s, but I didn't know about the meditation class that, this certain organization, I didn't know about it. So anyway, so the next dream is documents. A woman had several suitcases, and she tried to get information from her younger anointed brother regarding some documents that were in her suitcase. The documents had been moved into a large blue rectangular storage bin in a closet in possibly someone's home. hissing, St. Louis, metaphoric, thread. I woke at 5:15 a.m. I remember having a dream about the minister Joyce Myers. Joyce was surrounded by a handful of female staff that each had a particular role in helping out people in need. One of the women would try to repair situations by metaphorically using thread to mend situations. She seemed to practice this method with most people she encountered. Okay, motel. Now that was a dream, so just so you know. A young woman with brown hair and a ponytail is in the office room by herself. I can see her from the back view only, and she is standing in front of a long rectangular table. I find this odd, but the only thing on the table is a credit debit card reader. She swipes a very large amount on a card. Then I appear in the dream, and it was attending a small play in a theater, and used my card to pay for the show. After the card approved the purchase, I then noticed I was charged a whopping $3. It was more than that, actually. I thought it was quite high for a local play, and it wasn't something on Broadway. It's almost like being charged the wrong amount. So afterwards, I tracked down the young brown-haired guy in a room, pleading with him to give me back my $20 in cash that he stole from me. Later in the evening, a woman who resembles a former friend of mine and I are both waiting at the counter of a motel. She was at the one end of the counter and I was at the other end. I thought my former friend was trying to scam me because I saw my first name and last name and no initials that were typed on a piece of paper twice. My former friend must have gotten a motel voucher because I see her paying the motel with a check. The name John is somewhere on the check. I was alone and staying on the 11th floor of the motel, whereas my former friend was staying with a current girlfriend. The motel's bathroom was pretty run down, and so a cockroach at the top. Okay, so this is a dream. So the next dream is going to be missing. All I can remember of my dreams of the last week, while a former friend of mine from many years ago was standing on a side corner in an area that was not familiar to me. So on Christmas Day, I went to the local convenience store to grab a pop. So on my way home, I heard a woman scream twice. I looked around a little bit, but could not really tell which direction the scream was coming from. I chucked it up to a quarrel between a couple. However, I did not hear a man's voice. Anyway, so in the blog, I deleted an ad and added a grunge band called the Gits. I was not familiar with this band, but the lead singer, Mia Zapito, died tragically. Yeah, I never heard of this band, and I don't even know how I found out about it. I think probably on YouTube. But, so to add fuel to the fire, someone posted a flyer in my building of a young woman, didn't really read all of it, but her first name happens to be Mia. Of course, this is a coincidence, but I sure hope the young woman is found safe and sound. Okay, so after I heard the screams, somebody posted a flyer for a missing woman named Mia. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Where I lived, I had noise concerns, and I asked to be, a reasonable accommodation, and they didn't honor it. Really, they just want me to use noise canceling machines or whatever. But anyway, so that's, I guess, the dream or whatever. I don't know if it's a dream or not. It doesn't sound like, yeah, I think that happened in real life. I don't think it was a dream. Drifting. I woke up late saying, oh my God, because it was kind of late. In my dream, I was sitting on the beach when my empty Arizona tea bottles started drifting into the water, so I went to go get them. Last summer, I wanted to walk on the rocks near a body of water, so I put my empty pop on the sand near a rock with the small waves hitting the rocks. My pop can started to float off into the water, so I ended up taking off my socks and shoes to get the empty can and was successful. Yeah, that happened in real life, but I think that I also had a dream about it. So then I ran into an old friend who has been appearing in my recent dreams, beginning with the letter J. I wanted to show her my new apartment, and we walked up several stairwells and through a couple office space areas, which upset a couple of people in the office. My friend is in real life is a lesbian, and she told me that she had a new girlfriend named Lee. okay, which happens to be her middle name as well as a relative of mine's. Okay, the last place I lived was a shithole. When the new management took over, the company had to inspect all the apartments. About 5 people showed up in their cars from a distance. One of them physically resembled my old friend. My arms have been feeling weak, and in another dream, I couldn't lift my arms. I also had a vision of someone hanging up on one of those old-fashioned rotary phones that are connected to the wall. Pressure. Left behind. December 28, 2019. A young woman was traveling alone by a bus. I can see her walking around in a convenience store and may have been left behind by the driver. She thought she had most of her belongings with her, but didn't. An older Caucasian woman agreed to help her get to her destination, but the young woman was determined to be dropped off along the bus route so that she could finish her trip. Garage. I woke earlier to a noise of someone breathing heavy and thought someone was in my living room. I got up and checked, this is the last one, and checked my front door, and my chain lock wasn't on, but it still was locked. I fell back asleep, had a dream about a young woman storing all her belongings in her friend's garage. Her friend is super positive and energetic. I had the song in my mind by Rihanna, possibly due to a blog that previously read. Diamonds is the name of the song. Okay. So that's happened a couple of times in which I've woken up to someone breathing heavy, and then sometimes I awake and I've heard it, but it's rare. It hasn't happened a lot. Okay, so that is the end of this video blog. So I also do Blue Girls WordPress, and it's spelled differently. Blue, and then girls is correct, and then dream is DREEM, journal with a G. So anyway, thank you for watching.